brown stew. Seabass with spinach, caramelized onions, steamed tomatoes, chili, and Seabream stuffed with sage and rosemary and lemon with a crushed potato. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with meal prepping and it is officially the 1st of February. So we are cooking for the first week of February, and for this week we're going to have our staple, which is the brown chicken stew. This is a staple in our household. We must have a brown stew. So we will start with that. Secondly, we will have chili, and then we have 2 fish dishes which will all go in the oven. So let's start. For this dish, let's just start on high heat. Put in our onion. And now we're just going to let that onion brown. I'm not going to add any oil to the onion. I'm going to let the onion brown on its own because we are trying to reduce oil in our diet. So our onion is nice and brown. And now we're going to add our chicken. And then we add a tablespoon of salt and half a teaspoon of black pepper. And now we want to add some potatoes and 500 milliliters of water. Basically, you just want to cover your ingredients that's already in the pot. And now we're going to cover it and allow this to pressure cook until the water is done. I'm just going to move it to the back so we can move on to our next dish. Our second dish is also really easy. It's chili. And so for chili, what we need is an onion, a chopped onion. So let's add that. So once again, let's brown. And then I'm also going to put in the ground beef with it. And the reason why I put the ground beef and the onion together, because there's a lot of fat in the beef. Usually there's a lot of fat in beef, especially this is Wagyu beef. I don't want to use extra oil, and so I want that oil to brown the onion. And while that is in, I'm also going to add my garlic, and this is just a tablespoon of garlic, fresh chopped garlic, and salt and pepper. You can see there's fat in the pan, and that all comes from the ground beef. So let's just cook this until it's nice and brown. But I'm also going to put in a chopped hot dog and let that all brown together. And at this moment, my heat is on medium. So I just put my heat on high to warm up my pan. And after that, I reduce my heat usually to medium. The meats have cooked enough. I am going to add now 80 grams of tomato paste and work that in. After that, a teaspoon of sugar, just to break the acidity of that tomato paste. Let's give it a nice stir. It already smells so good. And after that, we want to add a tablespoon of chili powder and a teaspoon of taco spice. Sorry, it's chili seasoning and taco mix. And chili seasoning. So let's give that a stir. And now I'm going to add 400 grams of kidney beans, red kidney beans, and rinse it with 250 ml of water. Now let's stir this. And there it is. Dish number 2 is now going to simmer while I prepare the fish. Okay, for dish number 3, we have whole Seabream, 2 whole Seabreams we have. And all we want to do is sprinkle it inside with salt and pepper. And next we want to stuff it with I am going to use rosemary, sage, and lemon for its cavity. Then we're going to add some lemon pieces. Some lemon pieces and some sage. You want to add a nice piece of sage after you add the ingredients. And then on top, we also want to add some salt and pepper. I have a mixture of salt and pepper here in a container, and so just makes things easier. And so that's our stuffed fish with rosemary and sage. Next, we want to brush our pan with some oil. And on the one side, 1/2 of the pan I'm brushing with oil, because the other side I'm going to use for the potatoes. And like I said, we're trying to minimize oil, even though olive oil is healthy oil, still oil. So now we can add our fish to the pan. Add some more salt and pepper on the top of the fish. And on the side here, I'm going to make some smashed potatoes. We want to put our smashed potatoes on a bed of sage. The potatoes are already boiled, so that's lovely. Use anything that has a flat bottom, and all you do is press on each potato. And for that potatoes, we're just going to put the salt and pepper over a little bit and some lemon on each potato. I'm just going to put rosemary on the potatoes as well, just to give it some flavor. You can even just stick it in the potato. And this is our first fish meal. And now on to dish number 4. It's also fish meal, and this is a nice sea bass. I asked the people at the market to open the fish from the backside and not from the gut, so that I have this beautiful whole fish. It's easier to close it when you stuff it and all those things. For this fish, I am going to put it on a bed of spinach, caramelized onions, and tomato, a mixture of that. I already made the mixture, so it's the spinach that I boiled and chopped it, onions that I caramelized, and tomatoes that I also boiled. Just cut it up and let it simmer. Put some seasoning on, the salt and pepper. In this house, this is our main ingredient, salt and pepper. And then we're going to do the same on the outside of the fish. And now I'm going to oil an oven pan and then put the spinach, tomato, and caramelized onion mixture at the bottom and put the fish on top. And guys, for non-stick, when you have non-stick pans, you really don't need a lot of oil or anything like that. This is 1 tablespoon of oil for both pans that I've used so far. Let's put our spinach. I also want to put some of this on top of the fish. I'm going to leave the fish open, and now let's lay it down, skin down, and then for the rest of it, I just spread this mixture over the fish. All right, and so now all our dishes are prepared. These 2 are going in the oven. Thank God I have a big oven and a big stove, and so my dishes can all go at the same time. So all 4 dishes are now going. What takes time is really the prepping for the meals, especially when you're filming. When I don't film, prepping takes way less time than when I film, because I want everything to be here so that we don't waste time on looking for condiments or chopping things and all that. The aim is to show you how quick meal prep goes. So for the prepping, usually takes me an hour to prep the produce, to make sure everything, the oils and condiments are here. And then, as you can see, everything is going. Everything's cooking. There's 4 dishes cooking, and all I have to do now is wait for it to get done. The next thing I'm going to do is going to prepare the lunch proteins. So stay tuned for that. For our vegetables for this week, we're going to have our staple roasted zucchinis, as well as okra with radish, but that I'm just going to saute. Plus, we're going to have these red peppers, these are red sweet peppers. I'll add some just for color. So for this, I usually just cut them in circles, in maybe 1/2 inch thickness. I'm just taking the seeds of the peppers out because I cannot have spice. But I just want something different with the veggies. That is our veggies that's going to go in the oven. And then we have the okra. Now all the okra you want to cut off the head and the tail like that. And then you just cut it in smaller pieces, bite-sized pieces, I would say. And so with all the okra, we're going to do that. And so let me go finish this. I still have a whole colander of okra to slice. So I'm finished chopping all the vegetables like the okra. I also went ahead and chopped the radish. So the radish I steamed last night already. And also just FYI, if you wonder why I just chop veggies and I can just do things, it's because I wash my vegetables in the evening because I don't like to work with wet veggies. For some reason, I like it to be dry. So I have to do my veggies in the evening, washing it and boiling it and things like that, so that it's ready for meal prep day. Like I said, I went ahead and chopped these, and I added a teaspoon of chopped garlic and 10 grams of butter to this. I'm going to cook it on high so that it can saute very fast. And after that, I will add the okra to it. And on top of that, I am going to put some rosemary in, just for flavor. So our okra and radish are done. And so now it's time to put our zucchinis in the oven. I will brush this pan with some oil. Add our veggies and just toss the veggies with your hand, rub it in the oil, and a bit of salt and pepper. Add some rosemary and in the oven. Lastly, we are going to prepare our lunch proteins, which is going to be ground chicken as well as salmon. So the salmon pieces I am going to put in the air fryer simply because salmon is so fatty. And from now on, I want to put the salmon in the air fryer. Salmon is so fatty, and I want to try and put the salmon in the air fryer to prevent us from overusing oil. So this is going to go in the air fryer. Skin up seafood. I will cook this for 13 minutes. And while that's going there, let's do the ground chicken. I'll start my stove on high, and I'm going to take a tablespoon of sesame oil because sesame oil is lower in calories than olive oil. You want to add salt, half a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of coriander powder, and a teaspoon of cumin powder. And all I'm going to do now is just mix the meat with the spices and then beat it into taco meat. Guys, this is all you want to do, and you cook this on high, and you have to keep doing this. Okay, it's probably best to use a non-stick pot. And there's our protein done. All right, guys, meal prep is done. I started cooking around 2:30, and it's now almost 4:30. It's 4:20 now, and so it takes you roughly around 2 hours to complete all your meals. Not your 4 dinners. 4 dinners goes quick. You saw that my 2 pots were on the stove and my 2 fish dishes were in the oven, and so then it just cooked. That will take you like an hour maximum. But if you also prepare your lunch proteins and veggies, that's going to take extra time. I don't know if it takes the extra hour, but it seems like that's what it took for me. But in between, I clean and do whatever I need to do. So what do we have for this week? We have our brown stew. Then we have our sea bass with spinach, caramelized onions, and tomatoes, steamed tomatoes. Then we have chili. And lastly, we have Seabream stuffed with sage and rosemary and lemon with a crushed potato. That is our main 4 dishes for dinner. And for tonight, we're also eating fish for tonight with mashed potatoes. And so that is going to be pan-fried fish. For our proteins and veggies for the week, so for veggies, we made roasted zucchinis with some sweet peppers, as well as sauteed radish with okra in butter, garlic, rosemary. And for our proteins, we have ground chicken and or air fried salmon pieces. So yeah, it's easy to mix and match here and to make either a salad or a sandwich or whatsoever. And like I always say, we do use tuna as well, canned tuna. And we also use turkey and hot dogs, things like that. But I like to have 2 cooked proteins that is quite healthy for us as well. On that note, I'll see you next week. And I hope once again, my meal prep inspires you to actually start meal prepping. I can guarantee you will not only save time, but you will also save money because you will know exactly what you want to cook for the week. There's no need to go out and eat. Sometimes we do go out and eat, but then we have a meal for the next week, the first day of the next week. But we do not make it a habit to go out and eat while I have meal prep. Anyhow, see you next week.